We're live.
All right, this is March 24th. The March 24th, Finger Lakes Regional Land Bank Corporation, regular monthly meeting. I'm going to call the meeting to order. The first thing up is the approval of the February 24th meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Are there any questions or edits regarding the minutes? If not, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Next, we're going to go to the CEO President's update.
All right. It is the annual meeting for the organization, and it is also reporting month for public authorities and all of that. So we have a whole slew of resolutions that have to do with those issues. Basically 11 through 19. So we're appointing officers. Their resolution is written, there isn't a change. So it would be Frank Trophy as chair, Jill Henry as vice chair, Caitlin Ryan as secretary, and myself as president, and Michael Scaglione as CFO. There's also governors and committee members resolution that's also remaining the same. Check signers remaining the same. Readopting a bunch of policies that we review every year at the committee meeting. There's a previous governance committee meeting to this where we reviewed the policies. The only changes that popped up were for the disposition policy in our review, and I think Esther has basically gone through and made some edits and made them track closer to what our processes have been for side lot sales, and also working with nonprofit entities to make it a little bit smoother when we partner with somebody like BlackRock or Seneca Housing. For side lot sales, the amendments were basically saying that when we do a side lot sale, it can be an interested neighbor rather than an adjacent neighbor. Looking at our situation with the railroad ave property, the immediate neighbor did not want to purchase it, but their father did, who lived in the neighborhood, and wanted to have that property next to his daughter. It made sense. So that wasn't strictly in our policy, but now it would if something like that. So just kind of housekeeping stuff. There's also an amendment to the whistleblower policy. If memory serves, there's no longer a hotline, there is a website, and the website, the state website, if you would like to blow the whistle, is now in the policy. And then the annual report that was presented to the board of supervisors, a copy of that is in the packet. I think this group has seen all of these pictures before. The report was substantially similar to the year before, except updated to our current point in time on these projects that are about to kick off. And the audit, we also have resolutions accepting the audit report. There were no material findings this year. So we had a nice clean audit, and it was a pretty easy process working with Bonadeo and our accountants and with the bill payment platform that we have. Reporting all of the transactions and the tests that they do was much simpler than it had been in previous years. So that was an easier process than usual. So that is the bulk of the resolutions. We also have conflict of interest signatures that we sign annually, correct? So we'll get the board members' signatures that are here today. And then if you haven't done the ADO training, for public authorities, which I'm pretty sure everybody has. That's also an annual requirement. And if you haven't done that, let us know after the meeting, and we'll make sure we get you trained.
So just to clarify, it's not an annual requirement, you have to do it once within your first term or within your first year, and then it's good to update it occasionally.
Yes. All right, the fun stuff. So we got through the closing for the Seneca housing project in Willard and Ovid. So we're on track for that. The contractor that Seneca Housing has doing the work is Pike Residential, and they are starting tree clearing. I believe they're mobilizing today, and they're going to have those trees down by the end of the month, which is necessary due to the Indiana bat habitat. So we crossed that major hurdle, and that project is moving forward. So over the course of the next 11 months, which is the timeline for construction, we'll be working with Seneca Housing to help manage that project. There's 2 meetings a month on the second and fourth Wednesdays on site for going over things and getting pay applications ready. So the land bank is contributing mostly land bank initiative grant funding, kind of as a pass-through. So we'll be processing pay applications from Seneca Housing and passing them through to HCR, and then the reverse of that for paying the contractors. The county is also contributing those ARPA dollars through the Housing Trust Fund, and that'll be essentially the same process. Seneca Housing will be submitting to our county, and the county housing. And looking forward to really getting that underway and getting that done. At the end of the day, we have a contract with Seneca Housing. We'll be splitting the developer fee, which in nonprofit housing development language is the profit. So splitting that 50-50, we're expecting to make about $125,000 in just revenue for the general account from this project, which is a substantial amount, and that isn't paid out until the project is completed. And that is also where potential cost overruns and things like that are paid out. So it might not be that full amount at the end of the day, but hopefully it's in that neighborhood. We're expecting that in early 2027. So yeah, everything is looking good on that project, and I'm pretty excited to have that one underway here soon. So the Slacker project in the village of Waterloo, so this is 55 Washington and 17 South Walnut. They're looking at a June 1st start date for that project. We're in the midst of transferring properties and doing a couple of things to make that go forward. This one, the land bank, after the closing on that, and everything is under Flacker's umbrella. We're out of it at that point, which is nice. There's no more managing it or anything like that. And I'm not sure what the estimated timeline for construction is, but I would assume it's probably about a year. It's similar to the other one. So that one is also progressing nicely. We also have a resolution amending a previous resolution for that project. I transposed incorrectly the appraised value on the resolution. The total amount that we'll be getting in revenue from that will be $29,000. I think the previous resolution said $31,000. So apologies for that. We need to get it corrected for the sake of just closing on that funding, but that's the amount of resolution that was tonight. I think the land bank initiative grant funding Most of that update would be covered in the Seneca housing. That's where most of the money from that grant program is going. But we also have funding available for acquisition and that type of stuff over the next year and a half. And speaking of that, also like to discuss potential property acquisitions today. So with the Seneca housing project on the track for success and the potential revenue that will be coming from that in 2027, and looking at the land bank's projected budgets and how our general account revenue, so not grant funding, but the money in the bank, would be playing out over the next couple of years. I think we need to start thinking about what the next project would be that would generate a substantial amount of income for us, which is around the $125,000 mark to make sure that we have all the operating funds that we need in 2027 and 2028. So we're good in 26. I think we can make it through 27, but 2028, we're needing to have a project be coming together around that time that brings in a similar amount of revenue. Looking at our inventory right now, we do have some spots that figuring out a similar project probably is not in the cards. So we're looking at 2 sites in Waterloo that would be potential acquisition candidates. The first one is one that the county foreclosed on and somebody bid on and then refused to pay for it after the foreclosure sale. So it's arguable that the county owns it right now. And it's on Locust Street, which is right near the village office. And the house itself is almost directly across the street from the House of Concerns location there. It's a 4-unit apartment building from the 1800s, currently condemned. I think the sheriff's department cleared out some squatters and folks. And it's already built, which is nice, considering the pre-development challenges we've had with some of our other projects. And that could be a potential revenue generator that would enable us to put a project together and get us to at least partially the way there. The other one in the village of Waterloo that I think would be a really good opportunity is the dry cleaner that's next to our bowling alley site. And this is one that we've discussed in the past. This is where I think the most potential for revenue lies and is well within our mission as Locust Street is. Going after that property and getting it into the land bank and combining it with our bowling alley property would set up a situation where we can use all of the brownfield work that we've been doing with the DEC and with the EPA brownfield assessment program to get that site into a capable developer's hands that can put a project together and then pay us at the end of the day, similar to what we're doing with Seneca Housing or something else. So a project of that size would somewhere in there have the ability to pay the land bank the type of revenue that we would need to keep the lights on in 2028, but also would really move that whole block in the downtown of the village forward. So hoping to open that up for discussion for the board. We've discussed going after that property. We have some acquisition funds available in the LBI grant, but I think it would be a little bit early to pass a resolution saying that we're gonna dedicate this amount to it. I think approaching the property owner and seeing if we can work something out first and then bringing that to the board would probably be the best course of action. anybody has any thoughts.
I'd be glad to start if you'd like, being somewhat familiar. So the dry cleaner building next to the bowling alley is in what we framed as the historic district for downtown Waterloo when we were talking about the BRI program and so forth. So it has been strategically looked at as a place that really could become something to enhance the downtown. I'll speak to that. One of the things we promoted is a very walkable downtown, as a lot of our communities are. So we're just trying to develop it to turn it into something where all the history can be seen. It's in that area, and it's where there's a portion of the women's rights that have come about. Is in that area, the library, museums in that area, American Legion, and certainly there's other historic places, the Punta House and so forth. So I think you're on the right track to say I think we could get a lot of attention to developing that area from that standpoint. The fact that there are other things happening, I think would enhance the argument that, there's a lot of good things happening in the area. I certainly welcome others' thoughts and so forth, but if there's questions or anything about it, again, I think if that, as you look at it, fits the bill of some of the things that we're looking for, certainly I think there is a good opportunity.
I think what guidance we're looking for from the board today is basically if there is a consensus that, yes, it's okay for Joe to go out and start talking to the property owner and seeing if there's a way that we can acquire this. And then reporting back when there's news.
Well, isn't the property, the property owned, why would it become up? Is he paying the taxes or what, or?
He's paying the taxes currently. The problem is that the property itself was used as a dry cleaner and from the 1920s to 2018, I think. And for a lot of that history, up in the mid 80s, there was a very hazardous chemical that they used in dry cleaning. And when he bought the property, he didn't do a phase one or take any real heed to the concerns and challenges that dry cleaners present in development. And the health department, both the county and the state, have kind of prevented him from developing housing there now without it being abated, and it's impacting the land bank's property next door at the bowling alley because the chemicals are leaching onto our property, making that undevelopable until the whole situation is resolved. So we can't do much with what we call the bowling alley property without taking care of the neighboring property.
Well, if he can't do any building on it, why could we? Besides that, I gotta agree with Dan, that was the clerk's office, correct?
Very long time.
Yes, it was, yeah.
Is it registered as historical? Or?
I believe, yeah.
It could be. So right now we have the capacity and the resources to take it on. We didn't have these things years past. So being a semi-governmental agency here, we have the Land Bank Initiative grant that we can use for pre-development. So I don't know what that would look like yet, but it would be very similar to the amount of work that we did for Waterloo Seneca housing. We would find a partner who would be able to develop it. And this next step developer would need to have the experience to leverage the brownfield tax credit program, which this would have qualified for. FLRLBC has started the process to ensure that it qualifies. So we're needing to get it into a situation to move it to the next third party, which could be a for-profit or a non-profit at this point. There's nothing, but there's the resources at hand to put the project together for somebody to do. And that's not something the current owner of that single property, I don't think it would be interested in doing. The EPA money, with the county planning department, we just kind of crossed the last bridge to accessing that with the Environmental Protection Agency. So we'll have that grant available to us to work with an environmental consultant to do all the testing in the world that we want to do. But there's also project planning funding in that grant that we can leverage to make sure that we're putting this together in a way that is eligible for the tax credits. So basically the idea is if we can go get it, use the tools that we've been putting together over the last few years, do what we do, sell it to somebody that can do a project and they'll pay us. And then
If it's historical, they won't let you change it.
they sure will. They let us tear down 55 Washington Street, but we had to put it back just,
What are you gonna do to the village in your plans?
Well, again, there's a lot to be determined here, but if it could be something that is done, that fits within that block, which I think we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
You're saying you're not absolutely locked into your concerns there, you're not locked into it completely, but we would want some historic, probably, representation to it as well when it's developed, because of what we're trying to create there. So,
I don't know if we have to tear it down to do the abatement. That's not a question that we're not prepared to answer that yet because we haven't gone through the process to see what we can do.
The upstairs is almost about the same as it was with the town clerk. That lean-to on the front was added on later.
yeah.
Right. So that
The stairway up through there is a beautiful place.
So if that lean-to comes off, I think if we can salvage the building, or if the developer can salvage the building and do the cleanup work that would be required, that would be a potential historic tax credit project as well. And that is another source of subsidy for a quality developer that knows how to do those things. So we're needing to attract somebody to do this that has the experience in these programs and putting them together in a project. We just need to do the grunt work in the beginning and set it up for them. And the first piece of that is going to get the property.
Doesn't sound like it's gonna be done if we don't step in and do it, does it? Why it's been vacant for,
Yeah, the current owner does not have the capacity to go ahead and do this. It appears to me they're starting to realize some of that. But yeah, with all the connections and the agreements that you and everybody worked with the DEC and the EPA and connections that we made with the young construction projects and environmental work, yeah. It's not easy, it's pretty complicated. So it's one of those things that if we're not doing it, I'm not quite sure who's going.
So yeah, it's,
I mean, that's our mission.
That whole street is bad. There's a John Deere place up there, there's been fire and everything on the ground.
Yeah.
It was all coming down through and they're trying to go in 9-1.
yeah, so, I mean, the conversation today is like purely hypothetical. We haven't approached them yet. We just want to see if the board is comfortable with starting the conversation. We would need to come back to do any property acquisition or anything that would require any actual action. We would need to come back to the board. But today is just, is there a consensus of yes, go out and start these conversations or not?
Well, I think it fits our mission. I think it potentially could get a property in the village redeveloped and improve the downtown historical area that you want to do. I don't think a conversation is gonna hurt anything.
Do your discovery and all that good stuff.
I mean, I might report back, he said no and never talked to him again. So, we'll find something else,
We
but,
won't know until you do.
right. And 19 Locust Street, I'm not sure what area it is in with the county and everything, but that's another one that I don't think from just the pure revenue potential has the same amount of potential for the land bank, but it's a good quality project that I think would be a much simpler project for us. It's already standing up. The zoning would be much simpler. And it didn't sell at the auction. So it's pretty rough. And I think with, again, the resources that we had, we gave it an opportunity for us. So that one isn't quite as daunting, but it's still out there. Engaging with the county to figure out how to move that over will be on the docket for us.
Does that have a view of the pond right there, the lake?
I've never been in it, but you can kind of see the canal from the sidewalk in the street.
So I'm not being at the house concern, I've never been.
Yeah, it's in that neighborhood.
Yeah. So it'll be a luxury property.
Maybe someday we can help. When we're done with it, it'll be a luxury property.
Waterloo.
You good there? We move on to the resolution. All right, resolution 26-11, resolution to select officers and staff for the Village Regional Land Corporation for directors. A motion?
Motion.
A second? All right. Is there any further discussion to sort of talk about this and when we start in the resolution? There's no other concerns? We'll say, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Resolution passes. All right, move on to resolution 26-12, establishing the 26-27 governance committee and the audit committee for the Village Regional Land Bank Corporation Board of Directors. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second? All right, is there any further discussion here? Not, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Resolution passes. Go to resolution 26-13, resolution designating persons authorized to sign Finger Lakes Regional Land Bank Corporation checks. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second? Any good there? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolution passes. To resolution 26-14, resolution to re-adopt Finger Lakes Regional Land Bank Corporation policy. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Sorry.
Any additional questions or input? All right, if not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, resolution passed. All right, so resolution 26-15, resolution to amend the corporation's whistleblowing policy. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second? All right. All right, as we discussed, it changes. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, resolution passed. All right, resolution 26-16, resolution to amend the corporation property disposition policy. Do I have a motion?
Motion?
Second. All right, is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, resolution passes. Resolution 26-17, resolution to accept the 2025 financial statement and audit report from Bond Deal Company. Do I have a motion?
Motion?
Second?
Second.
No discussion, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion passes. Resolution 26-18, resolution to accept the 2026 parish reporting for submission. Do I have a motion?
Motion?
Second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? All right, resolution passes. All right, moving to resolution 26-19, resolution authorizing the appointment of attorneys and auditors for 2026. Do I have a motion?
Here.
Second?
Second.
All right. With no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, resolution passes. And resolution 26-20, resolution to authorize contract for 2026 lawn maintenance. Do I have a motion?
Motion?
Do I have a second? A second. All right, discussion?
I meant to talk about this in the first section, apologize. So we got two quotes. You flip to your second page of the resolution. The first from JEL Landscaping, for a total of $12,020 for all properties. And a second from Premier Lawn and Landscape for $8,115, for all properties. Both came with references. JEL had references from the town of Fayette, Verona Village, and the Spring Meadows apartment complex. And Premier Lawn and Landscape has references from the Stambergers, who did the driveway project in the Hamlet Fayette, Howard Schleier, and the D'Angelos. They both are perfectly capable. I'm not sure where JEL is based out of. Yeah, 414 Seneca Falls. I think Premier is also.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7851, 414.
So can I also clarify the cost structure a little bit? So we asked them to give us a number for each mow for each property. And so that total number you're seeing is assuming that there's 10 mows per year. And in addition to the original mow, there could be more or less depending on environmental conditions. So this was just a way to compare apples to apples by assuming 10. But just know that, you know, we quoted it based on a per mow basis.
And 4 properties are going to be coming off the list here soon, that are transferring to Blackbird House. So,
The only thing I would make a comment to is snow removal. If that issue I haven't noticed, that property owners are responsible for clearing their sidewalk in front of their house.
all right, let's make a note of that for
That affects the property.
sometimes.
I meant to call you, but they were using
Only anytime.
So the question on the mows, who decides when it's time to mow? Do they decide to show up? We had this problem over a few years ago with our cemeteries and stuff, that they just showed up when they wanted to show up, and all of a sudden we got a bill that they showed up twice a week and mowed, and when it needed it.
So the contract, I think we wrote 4 inches. Can't get above 4 inches.
It has to be between 3 and 4 inches.
Okay.
Basically saying like, don't mow it twice a week, but also don't let it get out of
Okay.
Right.
All right.
And we actually lowered it an inch from our previous, contract that we had to not even let it close. So,
Are we picking up?
yeah, so, it would, and then we'll put on the resolution with the pick.
Okay.
For the difference in the cost, I would say, from here, if they have these things, they check out good.
Like last year, it was so wet and stuff, I thought these 10 mowings would be, what happens if it goes over? Well, they need to be mowed, because I think in our cemetery, we went 12, 13 times.
Yeah, so, it's not a strict 10 mowing contract. They price it out if you flip per mow, into the backup, documentation here. So they'll mow throughout the season as much as they need to keep it under 4 inches. And charge us by the mow. For the comparison here, the 10 is an estimation for like what it might cost a season. I expect it'll be a little less or a little more for either, but it gives you a sense of what the total might be at the end of the year based on their breakdowns.
Here does seem to be lower for most. No.
Yeah, and they're closer than most you know.
I see their work all the time. I don't think we're losing anything a little bit on that one.
And that being said, everybody comfortable with us putting Premier into the resolution? So,
Do we need to have a second motion to state that we need to put it, that we're putting in? Okay. Okay. Okay, because we left it blank versus a change of how, okay.
Make sure it's temporary, doesn't get a finger in there. So it doesn't go back up.
all right, so for resolution 26-20, for selection of Premier Lawn and Landscape. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Premier Lawn. We're at resolution 26-21, resolution to amend resolution 26-07, related to the transfer of 17 South Longman Street and 55 Washington Street in the village of Waterloo to flat rock. So this is amending the previous flat rock resolution.
Change not of money.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, do I have a motion?
I should also, it's missing, there's a blank here about who did the appraisal,
Oh, right, Jennifer, I did look that up. Jennifer Prati Shepherd.
County Shepherd, so that's what that is.
No. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passes. All right, we are now to number 5, attorney's update.
I think I went through that in the covered. So was there something you can speak to specifically?
Did we hear if the deed had been filed in the,
So the first round's on record,
okay,
so the deeds, the conveyance was filed a week or two prior to closing, if you recall. So what's on record now is the first round of HCR documents.
Yeah.
For the closing that we just did. And then now we will try, we're gonna put on record tomorrow,
Yeah.
Let you know if that's. Number 6 is the CFO treasurer's update. It's not here, so.
Yeah, we'll
Get
do
the Joe version.
the Joe version. So I always try to make sure we have enough money. The general checking is really the bank account that concerns me the most. I think we'll save the full analysis of all the reports until Buck Staglione is in attendance, but working through some numbers and thinking about the projected budgets that we did and the amount of revenue that we're looking at with these projects and the sales acquisition price that we're getting for them, as well as looking ahead to the developer fee profit at the end of the day. We should be okay with 2026 and into 2027. We've got $59,000 at the end of February in the bank. That's dwindled some as we've been paying for all the activity with the audit and closing and things over the past month. But looking forward, essentially next year to cover roughly the about $175,000 of just operating costs that we need to pay every year. That wouldn't be subsidized by the grant or anything else. We need to come up with about $48,000 next year between the properties in our inventory with projects and things. So thinking about Seneca Lane and a Locust Street project would get us into that territory of being able to do that while we're thinking about the bowling alley, right cleaner situations down the road to continue to forward momentum. So that is basically the motivation for bringing the prior conversation with the board today was starting to think about how we're going to keep the lights on a couple years down the road, because these things take a long time to put together. And I was preparing a financial report and what I was going to say, and it kind of started coming home to me, yes, we really need to start thinking about what the next round of projects is going to be. We also have the line of credit, which is on the next page. You will see under total accounts payable, there's $117,000. That is on the line of credit right now. That was money that we withdrew from the line and used to pay mostly the architecture firm for the Seneca housing project to do the construction and bid documents for the project. And those were required to be done prior to the closing, but you couldn't use your grant money to pay for it prior to the closing. So it had to be floated somehow. Right now, Seneca Housing is in the works to get a draw, as they say, for the money that will reimburse us for that. And I expect that to be coming in from HDR through Seneca Housing in the next couple of weeks here, and we'll declare that line of credit. And going forward, we'll be using it to, or when it's required, when we need to pay for land bank initiative grant activities, where we don't have the funds available in our general account to pay up front and then be reimbursed. So that's about to be cleared, and if we keep pressing forward, we'll have enough money, and that is Joe's financial report.
We'll move on to number 7, new business. Any new business discussed?
Tracy.
Tracy got it. Let's go, Tracy.
Did we need to have motions to accept the treasurer's report? Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't.
You good? All right. So do I
I'm not the treasurer.
But
we
it's,
have a motion to accept Joe's report?
Yeah.
Motion. Second. I'll second. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. That's just Joe's version. All right, on Tuesday.
So, over the last month, I have been working with Joe on drafting up a request for proposals for the property at 108 Binders. That request for proposals is really focused on identifying an individual or developer who could acquire and redevelop that property as a single-family house, either for rental or for ownership. But the idea being that the property, we put out this request for proposal, we get information back from potential developers, and a lot of what we're asking for in the evaluation criteria is based on their qualifications and their financial capacity. So we're going to be asking them about their either in-house capacity to develop the project, if they're a contractor, or if they're an individual, indication that they have been in contact with a contractor or design firm, to think about what this looks like. And so really getting information back to make sure they have a team together that is capable, qualified, and has the financial wherewithal to actually do a project. So once those proposals come back, they would come to the board. The board would select a potential buyer for the property, and the land bank would actually, the contractor would be set up, so the land bank would hold the property for pre-development. So that would give this awarded bidder the time to do the site plan work, the design work, get the permits aligned, without taking on the liability of the property, as well as without the property taxes accruing during that time for them. And then when they're ready to start construction, it's clear to the land bank that they have the go-ahead to do what is proposed, and it aligns with what the land bank is looking for. The property would transfer to the person with an enforcement method. So that would allow the land bank to keep an interest in the property through the construction to make sure that this developer delivers on what they promised and in line with the plans that were agreed upon by the land bank. And there would be an agreed upon term for that aligns with the construction timeline. And at the end of that timeline, if the building or if the house is constructed as agreed upon, the enforcement mortgage is released, and if not, the property reverts back to the lender. So that's the way that we have the RFP set up, and it's fully drafted now. It needs a little bit of legal review, but before we release it, we'll make sure to send it out to the group to review if you have any comment. But we don't believe that there needs to be like an official motion or anything to release it, since there aren't any decisions being made for the release. But hopefully we can get that out before the next meeting and have for the next few months some proposals to bring back to develop that property at 108 Binders.
Yeah, so I think we have a lot of smaller parcels that are not close enough together to be bundled to do a scattered site development, so we find a partner to do it. And this is really an attempt as well to kind of test the waters on some of the concepts from the housing plan that we did through the county, and finding some case study work for us, for the land bank and for the planning department, and infill development in one of the villages. This is probably one of our nicest spots for a new construction single family house. So if we can figure out if there's the will and the need for somebody to be creative in their approach and in their financing and delivering a quality project, this would be the lot to do it on. And we'll see what we learn, and we'll see what we get. The worst that can happen is it doesn't happen, and the best that can happen is we get the house and Seneca Falls gets the house and move on. So it's a pretty low stakes initiative for us, but this is basically the reason, back to the need for acquisition projects. There isn't a good way for us to make revenue on a project like this. We can still push it forward and work to get to the best outcome of a housing unit being developed on that site. But at this stage, without having more around it, there's not much else we can do with it besides this.
Any other discussion? Then with that, we move on to number 8. We have a motion to adjourn. All right, okay, here we go. All in favor, say aye. We're out.
Next meeting is Tuesday, April 28th.
Tuesday, 28th. Okay. All right, thank you, everyone.
Yeah.